Now, I've always wanted to have a Rickenbacker style bass, but I could never really afford or justify one. But the good news is now you can get these Rick style kits from the Fretwire.com if you're in the US, or Pitbull Guitars if you're elsewhere. But are these kits any good? Let's find out. I'm Dan, this is Guns & Guitars, and this is the unboxing, building, and review of the mod bass kit that you can get from the Fretwire.com. Now, I'm not gonna lie, out of all the guitar kits that I've built, this kit is the one I've been most excited to try out. So when I got it just 3 days after I ordered it, I was so excited I nearly peed my pants. Unboxing it was even more exciting. Look at how cool this thing is. Now, most bass players are gonna know right off the bat that this is not a real Rickenbacker, and the two biggest giveaways are the Music Man style bridge and the jazz bass pickup cover. It was a good effort, but not really. It's pretty cheesy. But I'm gonna go ahead and cut him some slack because I actually think that there are two improvements in this kit over an actual Rick bass. One, the rear pickup is actually a jazz bass style pickup. And this is cool for a couple of reasons. Real Rick basses have pickups in them that were designed for guitars, so there's no real place to rest your thumb while you're plucking the strings. Now, if you take the pickup cover off, like I have right here, then the rear pickup actually acts as a perfect place for you to put your thumb while you pluck those strings. Also, having routing for a jazz pickup is much better. Real Rick basses actually have a huge gap routed out for the rear pickup, and if you take the pickup cover off, it actually looks really terrible. But this kit just looks much cleaner, and you're more flexible. If you do want to install larger pickups, you can just route out a little bit more material and still have a really good clean look. And two, the scale length on the neck and body is actually a full 34 inches, as opposed to Rick's weird 33¼ inch scale length. The longer 34-inch scale means you'll get more tension on the strings. This is really good, especially if you play on really light gauge strings, or if you play in drop tuning. Also, if you play in bead tuning, or if you get really crazy and want to do a full-on 4 to 5 string conversion, the 34-inch scale is going to take a low B string much better than the 33¼ inch scale. In my opinion, those two things really make up for what this kit is lacking. Now, building this thing was pretty straightforward. Because it was a set neck design, again, I had to reshape the headstock before I attached it. Now, there's nothing wrong with the headstock. In fact, it was pretty much an exact clone of what a Rickenbacker headstock would look like. But I'm not in the business of counterfeiting, I wouldn't mind to look a little bit different, so I just took a little bit right off the top. Now, my neck joint was not a terrible fit, but it wasn't quite as snug as I like it, so I did have to shim a little piece right there before I glued it in. And this time I put a ridiculous amount of glue and clamped it down real tight. After the glue dried overnight, I installed the hardware and wired up the pickups. Now, the electronics were pre-wired, but they were pre-wired incorrectly. The pickups were wired in series like a jazz bass, but with an extra selector switch and 2 tone knobs. Now, that didn't look quite right to me. So I went online and downloaded a classic Rick bass style wiring, as well as the wiring schematic for the mod bass kit at the Fretwire.com. And sure enough, I was right. This thing was not wired correctly at all. So now, after rewiring it, I'm finally ready to test it. Now, for this bass demo, I'm gonna do what I always do. I'm gonna record directly into Logic Pro with no EQ, no amp simulation. All you're hearing is the raw input signal, so you know how this bass sounds completely as is. So you probably noticed a couple of things. One, there's a spot on the neck that consistently pinches the strings to give it that buzzing sitar type sound. So the thing definitely needs a full fret job. And two, while each pickup sounded nice and full and rich individually, when they were combined together, it actually was quieter and more of a clanky honky type sound. I think clangy and honky are words. Now thin, clanky, and honky are how I've always felt Rick basses have sounded, which is one of the reasons why I've never felt the need to drop $2,000 on one. But if that's the tone that you're looking for, then great. Just great. But personally, I don't really care for it. Now, one thing that you guys didn't notice that I definitely noticed is that these frets were cut really harshly and they were left with really sharp burrs on the ends, which actually cut up my fingers pretty bad while I was demoing it just now. See what I go through for you guys? At any rate, this thing's gonna need a full fret job anyway, so while I'm at it, I'll just spend some extra attention on those fret ends to get them nice and smooth. But I definitely don't recommend that you try playing one of these things until you give those fret ends a little bit of attention. Taking one for the home team. So to summarize, things that are cool. Awesome classic Rick styling at a price that you can actually afford. At only 185 bucks, it's literally 10 times cheaper than a real Rick bass. It's got a beautiful wood grain, and great sounding pickups. Well, when you run them individually anyway. Things that suck. It has a phasing issue when you're running both pickups at the same time that makes it sound all clingy honksville. Clingy honksville. Yep, it's a real word. But if thin, clanky, and hunky is what you're going for, then that's great for you. I'm really happy for you. Like, really happy for you, really. But I think it sucks. Pre-wired electronics just mean that they were pre-screwed up for you. Well, at least that was the case with my kit. Your mileage may vary. But overall, I think there are two types of people that would be interested in buying this kit. One, people who would like a Rick bass but just can't afford it, which is like 99.100% of all bass players. And two, people like me who like Rick bass styling but don't necessarily like Rick bass tone, at least not enough to drop $2,000 on one. So for those types of people, this kit is a smoking hot deal. And I like my kits like I like my wife, smoking hot. And spanking. This is a spanking deal too. Hey guys, real quick break to tell you, as I'm editing this video right now, I just got an email from Sam at the Fretwire who set up a coupon code specifically for Guns and Guitars viewers. So if you use coupon code Guns and Guitars, that'll save you $10 any purchases at the Fretwire. So you decide to buy this kit or the Gretsch kit that I reviewed last week. Just want to let you guys know about that code. So pretty cool. Thanks Sam at the Fretwire. Be sure you use coupon code Guns and Guitars. Stay tuned if you want to see how I build this kit into a high-end killer instrument on a low-end budget. Spanking. I think I need some breakfast. Now if you're new here, go ahead and click that subscribe button, because I just like to show you guys how you can build your dream basses for a fraction of the cost of buying a high-end instrument. I'm Dan, this is Guns and Guitars, and thanks for watching.